Good evening, everyone. It is such a blessing to see you in this space. We are truly grateful for your support. And as Terica mentioned, I'll just be sharing a few words about our friend Marissa McCall Dodson and also sharing some of her own words about our call. I am honored to stand before you to bear witness to the greatness that remains Marissa McCall Dodson. Marissa transitioned last May, almost a year ago. Saying so long to our friend so unexpectedly is truly something that many of us are still grappling with and will grapple with for years to come. But today, as we remember her, I am reminded of a question pioneer organizer Ella Baker would ask upon meeting people at meetings. She would ask, "Who are your people?" And we ask that question even in organizing meetings today. It is a question that begs us to examine whose spirits we bring with us, whose spirits we carry within us, who drives us to do the things that we are called to do, and who cautions us against doing those things we shouldn't. In this moment, I'm called to lift up that Marissa embraced such an expansive understanding of who her people are and who her people were. They were often people who had been underestimated and disregarded. Their rights had been denied. Her people were not only her wonderful family members, but all of us who embraced justice as a mandate rather than a lofty ideal. I'd like to read a little bit of the last speech that Marissa delivered. It was actually this speech in front of the John Lewis mural. It was a speech in support of legislation that would end the disenfranchisement of people who had lost their right to vote because of a felony conviction. Marissa's remarks as written by her. My name is Marissa McCall Dodson, and I am the Public Policy Director for the Southern Center for Human Rights. And we wholly support this bill, this proposal to end criminal disenfranchisement in Georgia. Since 1976, the Southern Center for Human Rights has worked to promote equity, justice, and dignity in the criminal legal systems in the southern United States. Through community partnerships, litigation, and public policy advocacy, we fight for a world free from mass incarceration, the death penalty, the criminalization of poverty, and racial injustice. In our work, we are committed to advocating for the elimination of all remnants of chattel slavery and racism that continue to exist in the criminal legal systems in the South. We work with elected officials and other stakeholders to achieve this meaningful and equitable reform that foster the health and safety of impacted communities. The issue of criminal disenfranchisement in Georgia is of utmost importance to our work because of the systemic and disparate exclusion of Black people and those with little financial resources from being able to vote. The racist history of our felony disenfranchisement in Georgia simply cannot be ignored. In fact, criminal disenfranchisement didn't exist in our Constitution until emancipation, 1886, which was the same year that Congress introduced a resolution to pass the 15th Amendment granting Black men the right to vote. Today, in Georgia, there are almost a quarter of people who are barred from voting, and nearly 60% of those disqualified are Black. In the last decade, Georgia has also removed more people from the voter list due to felony conviction than any other state in the country. This legislation is pertinent this year as Georgia lawmakers will use the results of the census to inform resources and political districts for the next 10 years. Even though hundreds of thousands of Georgians who are counted cannot participate in the selection of their local, state, and federal representatives. This practice of counting without the right to participate is nearly identical to the way enslaved Africans were each counted as 3/5 of a person before the 14th Amendment was ratified. We believe there is never a justifiable reason to exclude people from participating in our democracy because they have been convicted of a crime, and we support this legislation to end the racist and oppressive practice in Georgia. And I share those remarks with you because when she uttered them in front of this mural, they are no less relevant today. We are still facing what feels like insurmountable odds, the perpetual dehumanization of entire swaths of our population, and at times we're told that we're not seeing what we're seeing unfold right before our very eyes. I call upon each of you to ask yourselves, who are my people? In times that feel like the assaults on humanity will never end, who are my people? I hope the response is that your people are pulling you to join us in decriminalizing race and poverty, just as Marissa committed her life to doing even before she knew who SCHR was. And the final question, which organizers also ask upon entering meeting spaces, is, who are you bringing with you? Some of us bring the spirits of Fannie Lou Hamer, Evelyn Gibson Lowry, Septima Clark, Harriet Tubman, Ida B. Wells, John Lewis, Joseph Lowry, Constance Baker Motley, Malcolm X, Charles Hamilton Houston, Donnelly Hollowell, Martin Luther King Jr., and of course, Thurgood Marshall. To this beloved community, may we also answer that question by saying that we are bringing Marissa McCall Dotson with us, that we are bringing her with us every time we enter a room for courage, resolve, and brilliance. So long as that beauty is within us and is passed down to future generations, it will never be lost. Thank you so much.